Hey everybody, this is Perch. This is going to be kind of a two mail. I'm going to answer two mails in one video. That sounds like I've now made a porn video. Um, anyway, we're going to do two of them because the first one I think is really quick. I can make an entire video about it. I started with the mail. I'm like, I can't do an entire video about this one mail. It's just too quick, too easy. So let's try. That's what she said. Anyway, dear Percherino, I have a question to you about comic store loyalty. In the past, you've talked about not letting your pull box go without informing the shop. And if you reserve something, you are obligated to pay for it. Yes, I have said that. Keep in mind, those are broad rules. There are always exceptions to those rules, but generally, I think it goes down to I don't know, just be a good person philosophy. If you say you're going to do something, then you should do it. Now, if you lose your job, if suddenly horrible event hits your life, and money's tight or something, then situations do change. But it's always best to explain it to the shop owner who's maybe holding on to something for you, maybe needs that money to stay alive. It's just being a good person. It's being a good guy. But this mail, anyway, well, let's keep going. I've been going to the same comic shop and I have a pull box for the last 8 years. Last week, I went into my comic shop to pick up my comics and I was wearing a MAGA hat. I have this image in my head of the guy wearing a MAGA hat and nothing else. He just walks into the store just bare ass naked with a MAGA hat on. Anyway, wearing my MAGA hat. Immediately, the shop owner, a man I have known for several years, told me to get out of the store and asked, how can I wear that hat in a space that is devoted to tolerance? This surprised me because we've never had any negative action, never had any negative interactions before, and this came out of seemingly nowhere. I have a pull box, but now I am not excited about going back into the shop. I've been insulted and told to get out, so I want to get out. There's another comic shop that's a little inconvenient for me to get to, but I find myself already taking my business there. Do I have any obligation to go back and close my box? Okay. I said this was going to be a quick mail, then we'll get to the next one. Look, if you go into any shop and the shop owner tells you to get out, then no, you don't have an obligation to go back in and, try and let them know. Now, if you basically, I take this as what do you want to do? If you want to, it's not a bad thing. If you want to have the high moral ground, you can certainly call the store up and say, hey, I'm box number, whatever it is. And, I had a bad interaction with your store. I didn't appreciate it. And I'm taking my business somewhere else. So I will not be coming in anymore. So you don't have to, hold things for me in my box. I'm box number, whatever it is. And, I'm done. So you let them know. It's a nice thing to do. I don't think the person necessarily deserves it. Again, forget about the politics for a moment. The MAGA hat or Trump or all the rest of that stuff, that's a bit of a distraction in this case. This is more of just a commerce. I think politics has a way of infecting freaking everything and making people stupid. But the politics have nothing to do with it. You walked into a store. The person said, I don't like, something you're wearing. You're not wearing a T-shirt with a naked picture of their mom. So therefore, feels like an overreaction. And you were told to get out. And so therefore, you can just get out. You don't have to, you can just be done at that point. And I think that's completely fair game. So I don't think you have to go back in. You can certainly call them and let them know. The one thing I just say, in my opinion, what you shouldn't do is you shouldn't go in there and make a giant parade out of it. Like, you don't go in there and be like, on Tuesday at 4 p.m., I went into your store, and lo, was I presented with an obnoxious asshole who told me, take thy business away. And I said, how dare you, sir? No, don't do any of that dramatic bullshit. Save that for theater. Just be done. So I think you can just be done. I mean, you're told to leave, you left. The end. I think that's the end of that story. And again, the politics have nothing to do with this, really. It's sad a little bit because you are out of your mind if you're chasing business away in a retail industry right now because of anything. Again, if you'd walked in there with a picture of the person's naked mom on your shirt, then yeah. But this is just that just is stupid. I live by it's a two-way street. Okay, when you go into somebody else's shop, don't be an asshole. Like, again, don't go in there and give speeches. I hate those customers. I will still take their money and I will not say a word. But inside my head, I'm hating them. I hate those customers who go in and they decide to, that today is the day. They're going to give me a speech on how to run my business. I'm not. I will smile. I will nod. I will take their money. I will not engage them with more conversation and just hope they leave. Okay, they're definitely customers who are assholes. There's customers. I had a guy who would come into the shop and he didn't like Marvel, and so he would go to the shelf and every now and then just say, "This book is shit," and then he would just push the comic off the shelf so it fell onto the floor, damaging the comic. And I put up with this like 2 or 3 times and eventually threw him out of the store. And I don't give a shit who wants to tell you how customer friendly you are. I don't care if Marvel personally touched you when you were a child. That is somebody else's property. It's a store. That is not you'll go in there and F with somebody else's merchandise. At the same time, comic shop employees and owners and everything else shouldn't, harangue their customers for again, for decency reasons and for common sense reasons. Decency reasons, just try to be a normal human being, you weirdos. And for common sense reasons, those people give you money. Take it. So I think the problem is, like I said, the Trump issue and the politics issue have clouded the whole topic. So now people are like, well, I don't know, but he was wearing a MAGA hat. No, just stop. And I don't prescribe into that, like, well, but wearing a MAGA hat is a little bit like wearing a swastika on your front. Now, I know that's your political belief, okay, but it's not the same. Those two are not the same thing. Now, you don't have to vote for that guy, and you can hate it, and you can hate that hat, and on and on and on. You can whatever you want to do, right? That's totally your call because you get to vote for who you want. But don't start like inflating this stuff into like silly areas. That's just dumb. Anyway, there you have it. All right, I said I was going to hit 2 things, but now I look down at 7 minutes and 34 seconds. So I think I'll bitch about customers a little bit more, and then we can get to we'll get to the next question in another video. So, silly me, I teased there. That was like a classic Marvel now, Marvel later tease that I gave you. So we'll go back to customer behavior a second and shop behavior. I mean, look, it is to me always been something inside of comics, been linked to comics. This idea that the shop owner or others will get more up in your business. But historically, those shops don't do it. Most consumers want to come in, select something, the product, and then move on. They want to go from selecting the product to, basically buying it and going home and reading it. They don't really, you don't go into a comic shop and, expecting or wanting a political moral lecture. Now, people talk about all kinds of things in the shop. So certainly, conversations can go down those paths. But generally speaking, there's been comic shop owners who certainly run their place like a town hall where they hold court and like to, basically speculate and talk about kind of the events of the day. I mean, there's definitely that exists. But by and large, the successful shops stick to business because you are there to sell things and make money and then, move it along. It is a volume business, comics, no matter what else is said. You want to have a good environment where you do it. And so when you have a comic shop that decides to, for whatever reason, get pissed off about Trump or whatever, it's self-defeating. It's self-defeating because you're taking money out of your pocket. And it kills me when that happens. So I'm sorry you had that experience. Good for you. You have another comic shop nearby. I don't think you have any hard obligation to tell the shop to, take you off the pull list or anything else. Is it nice? Yeah, it's nice. I mean, I guess the way I would look at it is, look, if you feel up to making a phone call, that basically goes, hey, I'm not coming in anymore. It's like, it could be a 60-second phone call. You are definitely the bigger man. Good for you. That's nice of you. That's more than is deserved. And so if you're willing to do that, good on you. But I don't think you're under any obligation to do it. I think if you're treated rudely, and that what you described is rude, right? Some people draw that line of rude way too blurry. Like, I went in there and I wasn't waited on in the first 60 seconds, and that I'm out. That guy is a dick. Okay, that's silly. But I don't have to define all these things for you. I think most of us can all rationally understand what's rude and what's not. And so I think it's fairly straightforward. Do the best you can. But I if you want to call, cool. Maybe that shop is employing a couple employees who are just trying to get minimum wage so they can go through college, and giving somebody a little foresight to their business may help those people out. I don't know, but I'm stretching here. I don't think you have to do anything. But it's always best to close your accounts. And I don't mean that I mean an account in this case, but just if you're not going to come back to something, it's best to close it out of your life and move on. That way you don't have an awkward situation, like for whatever reason, you decide to go back in the shop like 3 years later, and the shop owner's like, hey, it's you. I've been holding on to your books for 3 years. You owe me $500. Like, it's best to just be done with that shit. So, anyway, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for listening.